My name's Lani Brennan, and a lot of people might say that I was a victim of domestic violence, but I say that I was a survivor of family violence. I like the word family violence because I don't see domestic violence as being an individual thing. I see it as being a family thing, a community thing, and it's the biggest issue that I see that we have in Australia. My story was, I was raised in domestic violence, and monkey see, monkey do. I thought it was normal. I picked up drugs and alcohol at the age of 11, and I was daily using it at the age of 13. I lost my self-esteem, self-confidence. You know how you see the people walking around like the dead soul with no life? That's how I was at a young age. I went into domestic violence at the age of around 17, and every day was a beating, and I was being sexually assaulted at the same time. A lot of people don't like to acknowledge it, but when you're dealing with domestic violence and hand in hand, usually with sexual assault as well, it's very hard to understand where your husband or your partner could be raping you, sexually assaulting you, but no means no. I did try and escape domestic family violence a few times in my area. I was from a little community in La Perouse in Sydney, and everyone knew everyone's business. And I did try to leave a few times, but I was up against the barriers of repercussion on my family. If I could escape, but what about my family members? My partner did try and kidnap my brothers. He was going to go and kill my grandmother if I didn't go back to him. A lot of people don't understand. A lot of people say to me, why don't you just leave? It's not as easy as that. When it comes to family violence, they work with you emotional abuse first, mental abuse, and then the physical comes. And I say to people, once you get slapped once, it will get worse. The violence escalated very quickly for me. And within the first slap, I was assaulted nearly every day since. I was in that relationship for a couple of years, and through the strength and support of my family, I did escape. I was held hostage. The last night of the abuse was, I did leave, and then I had to go back again because of family, and he held me hostage that night. I was beaten black and blue all night long. I was sexually assaulted continuously all night long. The beatings were so bad that every instrument that you can imagine in a house was used upon me. The whole house was covered in blood. The whole mattress was covered in blood. He was trying to choke me with an extension cord, beating me with a hammer, and sexually assaulting me at the same time. He would walk me down the hallway of the house and make me get into a cold shower. As you can imagine, the injuries that were put upon my body, cold water, it was the worst pain ever. And then he would drag me back into the room and sexually assault me all over again. This happened all night long. I was praying for the sun to come up, or I was praying to die. I believe that, that I survived that night for a reason. When people talk about your body, your spirit leaves your body, I believe in that. I seen the light that night. And he had to go and report with the police. The next morning, he made me go with him. I jumped on public transport, barefoot, beaten. No one questioned anything. No one said anything. Everyone just turned a blind eye. And this is in the city of Sydney. I jumped on that bus. We got off at the Mareepa Junction. He walked across to the police station, and I stood there and I ran. Locked myself in a toilet, and I rang my father up. I believe that things happen for a reason. My dad lived pretty far away from me, and he was around the corner. I said to him, I'm going to be walking down the road, can you please come and get me? I pleaded with him. And one thing was, my family never gave up. I say to people all the time, if a woman keeps going back, please just be there to support. And luckily, when I rang my dad that day, he was there straight away. Of all places, he dragged me to the police station. I sat down there and told them what happened to me, which was very hard. I was full of fear. And my father pleaded and pleaded with them to go and charge him and go to the house so they can get all the evidence, and they didn't. My father put me into a rehab, which I believe now saved my life. I didn't know, if my dad told me to go and jump off the harbour bridge, I would have. You know, I was broken. I went into rehab, I got sober and clean. I started working on my issues from as a child. I come out of the rehab, you know, it's very hard to try and sum up my whole story in such a short time. I said I could talk for hours, you know, but I come out of rehab and I changed my life dramatically. I got sober and clean through the fellowship of AA and NA, which is sharing your stories, strength and hope. And I was under the wing of older members, which are elders in the fellowship. During that time, I did go to police and do a few statements, and I just wanted him locked up. I wanted him away from me. I was living in fear the whole time, looking over my shoulder of when he's going to come back and kill me. The police, which might be hard for a lot of people to believe, but the police took nearly 4.5 years to get a warrant to go and arrest him. This was a bloke who had 48 charges within that 4 years, and they never even put the warrant for the rest with my case. I fought and fought, and I found a loving partner, a loving Aboriginal partner at this time, and he said, you can't do it no more, because it controlled my whole life. It was like I was living, and even though I was away from the violence, I was still living and breathing it every single day, because I got totally obsessed with having to get him off the streets because I was so fearful. And my partner turned around and said, I'm going to take the reins. I'll be your backbone and I'll do it for you. So he rang every single day, police station, ombudsman, wrote letters. And eventually they went and got him. I didn't know what to expect. I wasn't used to the court systems with that. I didn't know what was going to happen. I met my barrister and my solicitor. My solicitor's here today, Josephine Cashman, and she was a part of saving my life too. And we were sitting there yarning. I said, hey, you're a black fella, eh? You know, and that connection. And it was meant to be. I believe in that. And we went to trial, didn't know what to expect. I was heavily pregnant. And went through trial, and it took months at court. I was cross-examined for nearly 3.5 months. That's 8 hours a day on the stand. I had little babies back home. So try and imagine leaving your family home with your kids, being normal, and then going into a court and standing there having to talk about what happened to you. I was talking about sexual stuff where his family was sitting in the courtroom as well. They were banging on the glass, laughing and stuff, and I turned around and I said to the judge during the trial, close the court. He goes, how do you know about that? I said, Google. And he goes, you understand? I said, yep, my family and his family have to leave. You know, the trauma that I went through was so hard for my family to understand. It was breaking me inside to see my mother and father and my family members, to hear what I went through. They knew the violence was bad, but they didn't know the extent. So when they had to leave the courtroom, I was protecting them, which a lot of women do. They need to protect their family. You know, so I had to do the court case on my own, you know, and then during that time, it was Friday afternoon, I said to the judge, can we finish early? He said, what for? I said, well, I'm going for a caesarean in a few hours. And he's like, what? I said, yeah, but I'll be back Monday morning. You know, and that's just the strength that you have to fight. You know, and I come back, and it's a long story. It was months and months. I could talk forever about it, of what I had to go through with the racism and everything else. You know, but at the end of it all, we got the biggest ever conviction, biggest ever sentence handed down in Australia. He got 33 years and 28 years on the bottom. You know, people don't even get that for murder. You know, and people go, oh, was that longer? Thank you. You know, and so it's a whole, there's so much, you know, please get my book, you know, because that's my heart and soul. But I had the opportunity through Blackfella Films, Rachel, you're probably sitting here, Rachel Perkins. They come and approached me with Genevieve Greaves and asked if I could do a documentary on my story. And I said, if I could save one life, let's do it. I didn't know it would take 3 years, but, you know, and it was a very healing process, very healing for me. So I done the documentary, it got aired. I thought it'd be at a local pub, at Lapa, but no, I was at the Opera House, you know, and that was amazing, you know, and so the documentary got aired, a lot of publicity around it, a lot of people were talking, and that's the main thing. People need to talk about family violence, but you know what? Can't talk, we need action, and we need action now. We are at crisis, you know, and after that, I travelled around to different communities in Australia. I even went to Canada, won a film festival award over there for Indigenous women. And, you know, I never done any of that. I was an alcoholic, sitting on the streets in my area on the methylated spirits. That was my drink of choice, was metho. I was a young girl and I had no life ahead of me, no goals, no nothing. And then I got approached, you know, which is amazing. I got approached by HarperCollins. I didn't even know who they were. And they said, "You willing to write a book?" I said, "Yeah, let's do it. Save a life, let's do it." Then I said to my friend, "Oh, HarperCollins just contacted me. They want me to write a book." She goes, "Do you even know who they are?" I said, "Nah." You know, and I started writing the book, dictaphone. I'm not very good at writing, but I can talk. You know, so I dictaphoned it. My book got published, and it was a huge success. You know, Tony Abbott launched the book in Parliament House, which, you know, I didn't think I could ever walk in Parliament House. You know, and a lot of doors started opening for me. But, you know, my whole story, I travel communities, to empower individuals, because I'm living proof. I was one person standing alone in my community and others did follow. You know, when I travel to communities, I'm trying to empower them individuals to come together, to say no to violence. You know, I travel for awareness, for education, and prevention. I love prevention. I work for PCYC as a coordinator at the moment as well. Been working there for 5 years. You know, so I've had a lot of doors open for me, which I never thought. I was just a gummy, what I call them. I was just an alcoholic. You know, and but through the book, that's my heart and soul. You know, the documentary is just a little glimpse of what it was like, but the book is all me. I got to write what I want. You know, as you can see, I could talk forever. But, you know, with the doors opening, you know, for me, I don't get up here with a projector, with PowerPoint presentation and talk about statistics. I'm not like that. I talk honestly, I talk from the heart, and you know what, it's just not Lani's story, it's not my story. These are thousands of women's and men's stories around the world. You know, and I'm the voice of plenty of people, you know, and I started the Facebook page and all this stuff, and all of a sudden I'm working 24 hours a day. You know how you get them black-collar workers that don't get paid? Well, that's me. I do what service providers should be doing, you know, and family violence doesn't happen 9 to 5. It mainly happens at night, holidays, and when no one's around. So I have a lot of, I'm very creative. I've got a lot of ideas that's in my head, and I have been talking with Telstra. Hopefully they are here. And they back me, because I have got a lot of ideas that I want to be able to save people. You know, with travelling around communities, you know, I've gone into communities that no one go to. And I go in there just with the honest truth and about talking from the heart. You know, and, but I could just keep going, sorry, you know, and, but we are at crisis. And for you all sitting here today, this is huge for me. You know, I was very nervous and very honoured, Denise, wherever you are, to invite me to come. And I've got a lot of, you know, mentors around me too. You know, Auntie Marcia, JC, Uncle Charlie. He does great work with the men. So it's family violence. It's not just the woman. We need to do this as a family community, you know, and we need to stick together and stand together. Women have been fighting this for generation after generation. We need our men to back us. We need to be joined together and to protect our children. We need to start really focusing on child protection and child focused. You know, and yeah, I think I'm getting this. But, you know, people say to me, "You're an inspiration." I said, "You know what?" I said, "Don't ever put me on a pedestal, because people fall down. I'm the voice of just women that can't speak up. And my story is just the same as everyone else." You know, but please get my book, Lani's Story, and the documentary, Lani's Story, and just when you leave from here today, talk about family violence. We need people to keep talking, but we need action behind it. You know, and it's just been an honour coming here, and a privilege to stand here in front of you all today, and because this is what I live and breathe. This is my passion. This is my drive. And you know what? I think I survived just to do this. This is my calling. I've got 6 daughters, I'm a foster carer. My daughters walk around promoting it. Even when their cousin goes like this, they go, go on, woman basher, don't touch me, I'll bring the gungies on you. Look, I'm getting pulled out. But, but thank you for listening to my story, and there is a lot, but please get my book. Thank you.